Welcome. Today, you sent us something really interesting. It's a statement of objectives, an SOO from the IRS.
Yes.
We're going to unpack their plans for upgrading their tech infrastructure, specifically for the Inflation Reduction Act, and, maybe more importantly, making things better for users.
You shared excerpts from this SOO, and it's pretty fascinating to see how a huge organization like the IRS tackles improving its tech and, the whole user experience thing.
Yeah.
Even if you're not dealing with the IRS daily, the principles here, modernizing complex systems, putting users first, they apply almost anywhere, really.
Exactly. It's not just the technical guts. It's how that stuff affects actual people. The main goal in this document, it seems to be supporting the associate CIO in the Users Network Service Office as they roll out these new IRA capabilities, making sure it all runs smoothly. Well, let's get into the why behind it. What's driving this whole thing?
Well, SOO makes it pretty clear. The Users Network Service Office, they need backup, help managing a bunch of ongoing projects. And the IRA is a big push, especially for upgrading IT infrastructure that impacts, everyone, employees, and the public interacting with IRS systems.
So they need help managing it all.
Exactly. And the core purpose of this specific SOO is to solicit proposals for two key documents. First, a performance work statement, a PWS, that's like the detailed how-to guide for the work.
Got it, the instructions.
And second, a quality assurance support plan, or QASP. That basically outlines how they'll check the work is done right. Quality control.
So they're looking for a partner, someone to help map out the what and the how and make sure it meets their standards.
Yeah.
Bringing in specific expertise, project management, tech support for the deputy CIO's office.
Precisely. Comprehensive support.
Now, here's something that caught my eye. The document mentions the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNS, playing a vital role.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit odd for the IRS, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost certainly a mislabeling in the document, right? Maybe an internal term or just a typo. They probably mean the IRS's own mission.
That's a very good point. It seems likely it's either an internal reference or perhaps a slight error in the drafting. UNS isn't typically associated directly with IRS operations in this way.
But regardless of the label, it shows the scale, right?
Right.
An organization, this massive, huge workforce, they absolutely need solid, secure IT.
That's the key takeaway, isn't it? Whether it says UNS or IRS mission, the principle holds. Big organizations depend heavily on their tech backbone. And the main goal here, like the SO says, is aligning IT programs with strategic objectives, specifically getting a much clearer picture of the current user experience and spotting areas to improve tied to those IRA commitments. Understanding the ask is always step one.
Makes sense. So that's the why. Now let's dig into the what. What are they actually planning to do? And it sounds like user experience is a big piece of the puzzle.
Very big piece. The high-level scope is definitely user-focused. It kicks off with a thorough assessment of their current enterprise customer tools.
Enterprise customer tools. So basically everything.
Yeah.
Websites, internal software, the works.
Pretty much the whole digital ecosystem. The assessment covers network infrastructure, data storage, software apps, cloud services, all of it. Exactly. Looking at performance metrics, how fast things run, system logs like the system's diary and security protocols, trying to find bottlenecks, slowdowns, inefficiencies, potential security gaps.
Especially, it seems, with new things like smart conference rooms and more mobile devices being used.
Absolutely. They need to be sure these modern tools are secure and don't accidentally create new problems. The end game of this analysis is to develop solid recommendations. How to optimize performance, keep data reliable, boost cybersecurity.
And monitoring, too.
Yes, evaluating robust monitoring solutions. Think of them as always-on watchdogs for their IT health, catching issues before they blow up.
Okay, that makes sense. And this broad scope breaks down into two main areas, program management support and operational execution support.
Let's start with program management support. This is really about the strategy and oversight.
Like the big picture stuff.
Right. Strategic planning, making sure IT projects line up with IRS goals. Stakeholder management, keeping everyone on the same page, which is huge in a big agency. Risk management, spotting problems ahead of time.
Proactive.
Definitely. Plus, performance monitoring, change management for rolling out new stuff, and, importantly, continuous improvement. Always looking to get better. The core idea is keeping IT aligned with the organization's strategy. It's the compass and map.
You need that framework, yeah. Can't just throw tech at problems.
Yeah.
So what about the operational and execution support? That sounds more hands-on.
It is. This is where the plans become action. Delivering on those IRA commitments related to user experience. Taking strategy and making it happen.
Okay.
A key part is really understanding their current user experience capabilities. What's working, what's not working for users. And also checking their proactive monitoring, can they catch issues before they impact people? This is where the improvements actually touch the user.
And within these areas, there are some really specific user experience objectives mentioned, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. For example, analyzing help desk operations and user experience activities in detail.
Like how the help desk is running.
Exactly. And focusing on human-centered design enhancements, basically, designing things for the user, plus improving service quality overall. They even mention pulling data from ServiceNow.
Their IT service platform.
Right, to dig into the root causes of the most common user problems. Using data, not guesswork.
That's smart. Using actual data to fix things. And it sounds like they're serious about measuring success, too.
Definitely. They want to identify and implement specific metrics to track user experience outcomes. They're even looking at best practices from other agencies and private industry. How do they measure user satisfaction effectively?
Learning from others.
And they want a full list of all hardware and software that users interact with directly.
Yeah.
Makes total sense, right? Those are the tools shaping the daily experience. Understanding that inventory is key for upgrades.
And they're looking at AI, too, for the help desk.
They are. Evaluating ServiceNow's AI capabilities. How could AI potentially make help desk and customer support better, more efficient? It's a logical step, given where the tech is going.
Makes sense.
They also want the contractor to talk directly with help desk reps, understand their challenges, call times, common issues, the tools they use now. The idea is to use that insight to recommend and plan better tools. Make the reps' jobs easier, which improves the user's experience. It's a cycle.
It feels very connected. Understand the problem, find the right tools, implement them well. And it seems like it's leading toward defining requirements for a better customer service system overall, even a framework for world-class user experience.
That's the ambition, yes. And documenting long-term strategies for ongoing user experience improvement. It really paints a picture of a thorough and ambitious plan.
It really does. Okay, so let's shift to the how. How do they plan to implement and oversee all this? We mentioned the PWS and QAST earlier.
Yeah.
Why are those so critical here?
Critical. The PWS, the performance work statement, that's the detailed blueprint. The contractor who wins the bid has to propose this. It spells out exactly what tasks, what deliverables, what timelines. It's the instruction manual.
Ensures everyone's on the same page about the work itself.
Precisely. And the QASP, the Quality Assurance Surveillance Plan, is the other side of that coin. It details how the IRS will monitor the contractor's performance.
How they check the work.
Exactly. What metrics they'll use, how they'll do reviews, how they ensure quality standards are met. It's the accountability framework, making sure they get what they paid for, essentially.
Makes sense. The SOO also hints at the expertise needed, listing recommended labor categories. Program manager, specialist, senior SME, analyst third. What does that tell you?
It tells me they need a diverse team, a mix of strategic oversight and deep technical knowledge. These aren't just implementers. They need problem solvers, good communicators, people who can talk to both tech teams and management.
And translate complex text.
Yes. The document explicitly says that translating complex info into user-friendly designs, that loops right back to the core goal, better user experience.
Absolutely. The SOO gives practical details too. Work hours, place of work, mostly contractor facilities, but potential travel to government sites. Telework is also mentioned.
Reflecting modern work, yeah.
And the contract length. 12 months base with the 6-month option.
And security naturally is a huge piece given the sensitive systems and data involved.
Definitely. The SOO really emphasizes the background checks for all contractor staff. It even lists specific forms.
Like fingerprint checks, NDAs.
Right. Form 12333, the non-disclosure, OPM Form 306, IRS Forms 12114 and 13340 for background checks and access. It really shows how sensitive this is.
They have to be confident in their contractors. The SOO also mentions physical security on-site, regular progress meetings for updates, and clear identification for contractor staff, transparency and security.
It's all about a secure, well-managed partnership. Okay, so let's bring it back to the listener. What are the key takeaways from this whole deep dive into the IRS SOO?
Well, a few big themes stand out. First, the strong focus on data-driven decisions. Analyzing metrics, using ServiceNow data to understand user issues, making choices based on evidence. That's a lesson for anyone, really.
The data.
Second, the proactive approach. identifying potential IT problems before they cause major disruptions. It's about prevention, not just reaction.
That proactive piece feels really important.
It is. Then there's the clear commitment to continuous improvement and aligning all this IT work with the IRS's strategic goals, especially around the IRA and user experience. That alignment is key for success.
IT serving the bigger mission.
And finally, we shouldn't overlook the mention of Section 508 compliance, ensuring accessibility for people with disabilities. It shows they're thinking about modernization, efficiency, and inclusivity.
Making sure services are usable by everyone. Good point.
So, summing up, this SOO shows a really comprehensive strategic effort by the IRS. Modernizing infrastructure, significantly boosting user experience tied to the IRA. It highlights the sheer complexity of managing IT at this scale and the need for a mix of strategy, tech expertise, user focus, and strong oversight.
He really does. And it shows how even bureaucratic stuff ultimately aims to serve people better. It makes you think, doesn't it? How might these principles, assessing current systems, understanding user needs, ensuring security, efficiency, apply to challenges you face? Professionally? Maybe even personally.
That's a great question.
How could a structured approach like this yield insights in your own world? Something to chew on. And that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for exploring this with us.